This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
You're watching India Global. I'm Gaurie Dwivedi. Let's start the show as always with headlines. UNSC to hold key closed-door meeting amidst India-Pakistan tensions. Russia's President Vladimir Putin dials Prime Minister Modi ahead of the UNSC meeting and extends full support to India amidst Pahalgam probe. PM Modi meets Defence Secretary amidst Indo-Pakistan tensions, meeting as India prepares response for the Pahalgam terror attack. India revives 6 hydro projects after Indus Treaty suspension. Hydro projects have been stalled due to treaty restrictions that do not exist anymore. Not one and done. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warns Iran after the Houthi attack. Conquest Gaza is what Netanyahu's latest plan is as war rages on. Israeli cabinet, meanwhile, comes out with a key decision, approves plan to capture all of Gaza. US slaps 100% tariff on films that are produced in foreign lands as President Trump says that he wants movies to be made in America again. Roughly 2 weeks since the dastardly Pahalgam terror attack took place, the United Nations Security Council will hold close consultations today to discuss the tensions between India and Pakistan. So far, out of the 5 permanent members, China, France, Russia, UK and the US, 4 have signaled strong support for India. They have backed India as far as this terror attack is concerned that took place on a tourist site where 26 innocent civilians lost their lives. Meanwhile, a week after India suspended the Indus Waters Treaty with Pakistan, it has now revived 6 hydropower projects in Kashmir, including increasing the reservoir capacity of storage at the TWC hydroelectric project. Once these 6 projects are completed, Jammu and Kashmir could generate up to 10,000 megawatts of electricity. This is crucial given that if the Indus Water Treaty was still operational, India would have had to give Pakistan 6 months' notice before starting this construction, during which time Islamabad would have mounted several legal challenges to possibly ensure that these projects do not see the light of day. All right, joining me now to talk about the several aspects to this story, Mohammad Ghazali from New Delhi, Nazir Masoodi from Srinagar. Nazir, let me come to you first. Fresh set of moves made by New Delhi ahead of that crucial meeting, the UNSC closed-door meeting. Talk to us about these hydropower projects and the impact that they are likely to have going forward.
Well, the first major decision government took was to suspend this Indus Water Treaty. What it means that now you don't have to take permission from the Indus Water Commission or their approval or allowing them to visit the sites. For example, in these visuals, you can see it is the Bagaliar project. Yesterday, water was temporarily suspended, but the storage capacity of this project is just for 3 lakh, cubic meter, feet of water. This acre feet of water, that is it. While as Pakistan gets around, 27 million acre water from Chenab River. So there are proposals to build more projects which have been already in the pipeline to make them. But for that, government already always needed to, get the approval from the Pakistan, get Indus Commission, Pakistani Commission, Water Commission to visit here. And so that, because these were the conditions of Indus Water Treaty. So normally Pakistan is getting around 100 million acre feet of water from the 3 rivers of this Indus here, and Jahlim and Chenab. Since yesterday, we have seen that water was stopped temporarily, and it created huge hue and cry. And many thought that it would be, Pakistan has been punished, but that's not going to happen immediately, because unless you raise the height of the dam, you cannot store more water. And then there would be the ecological costs. Then there would be,
Yes.
some areas can be submerged. So it's not an easy task. It's a tall order. It will take years together. But by temporarily stopping the water, India has sent a message to Pakistan. What it means when we suspend this, treaty,
Yes.
and we can say that's already, and what it means for Pakistan and its survival, because Pakistan has already said
Yes.
that if they divert the water, they will treat it as an act of war.
All right. In fact, stay with us, Nazir, because I want to now talk about the other aspects. So we are covering and focusing on the India-Pakistan tensions that have escalated for 3 reasons after the terror attack that took place on Pahalgam. One, of course, is the aspect that Nazir was pointing out, New Delhi's actions, New Delhi's water warfare, the details that you see on your screens. The other 2 aspects, remember, Pakistan continues to violate the ceasefire at the line of control, even as measures are now set to be taken going forward by New Delhi on multiple counts. But ahead of that, there is now the UNSC closed-door meeting that will take place by India time, 1:30 in the morning IST I'm talking about. And ahead of that, a very crucial meeting, phone call took place between President Putin and Prime Minister Modi. What does that mean? Signaling the support coming in from one of the P5 members. Ghazali, talk to us about the messaging, the optics that this sends out ahead of that crucial meeting.
See, Gaurie, not just regarding this UNSC meeting, which is going to take place, as you mentioned, the schedule, the External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, has been talking to non-permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. And then Prime Minister Modi receiving a phone call from Mr. Putin, the Russian president. That shows that how India and Pakistan, they both have been diplomatically jostling to gather more support. And evidently, we have seen that how the P5 countries have shown support to India for condemning the Pahalgam terror attack there. And Mr. Putin went on to say that he is with India when it comes to act against terror, and this is not a new alliance between India and Russia. And with with most of the members of the P5 countries, as well as many other countries who are non-permanent members, India already has a joint working committee or a group or mechanism to tackle global terror. And we have seen that in the last 6 months or so, that whenever Prime Minister goes on a foreign visit to any such countries, or even these foreign dignitaries come to India, a key part of our MOU revolves around tackling global threat. So that is one part, that how India has managed to gather a lot of support, and that will be quite evident when the Security Council closed door meeting happens. But very interesting would be to see Pakistan's stand, because in this entire Pahalgam terror attack, we know that who is the victim and who has been the aggressor. Now, what will be Pakistan's logic or excuse or kind of a standing when it comes to describing the Pahalgam terror attack? That would be interesting to see, whether Pakistan will be able to defend it, and what would be its talking points, and how India will counter it. That would be a interesting read as well as a visual to see.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you so much, both of you, Nazir and Mohammed, for joining me to talk more on this story. In fact, ahead of that key UNSC meeting on India-Pakistan, let me put out now the big questions that we always ask on India Global before I open this up to experts joining me. First up, in fact, will world isolate pariah Pakistan at the UNSC closed-door meeting that will take place? Secondly, will the P5 countries now condemn Pakistan in that many words? Remember, they've backed India. One of them, in fact, held a call with India just hours before that meeting. But will they now come out with a statement condemning Terroristan, Pakistan? The third, how will India's water warfare actually dry up Pakistan? That's a very key part of it, because Pakistan has been talking about it. It wants to escalate this. Remember, it's a bilateral issue. New Delhi is very clear about it. But will that actually find mention on the UNSC meeting? And lastly, what does Iran's foreign minister's meeting to Pakistan actually mean to India? And will that have a bearing on that closed-door meeting? Joining me now to talk more about this is, in fact, Achal Kumar Malhotra, former ambassador, as well as General S.P. Sinha, to understand what could be the larger takeaway of this. And in fact, Ambassador Malhotra, let me start with you. As we speak ahead of that crucial meeting, I come back to what I started this discussion with, which is that there is a global support that is firmly and squarely behind India, and one is seeing that ahead of a meeting that Pakistan called. Pakistan wants to raise this issue, an international issue, but the world stands firmly and squarely behind India. Ambassador Malhotra.
No, there's no doubt about it because Pahalgam terror attack, we are the victim. And the entire world has been unanimous in condemning the attack. And they are always in every global forum, in all joint statements, in all bilateral statements, there is invariably condemnation of terrorism and a determination to fight terrorism in all forms and manifestations. But that's the general position. Now, coming to the specifics, will will they hold Pakistan responsible for this? By name, will they name and shame Pakistan? Uh, in the United Nations Security Council meeting, which is taking place now, very difficult to say because China is there. And China is despite the facts that they are sending a lot of feelers to India that they want to improve relations with India. But naming and shaming Pakistan in the UN Security Council meeting today looks very unlikely. This meeting is taking place at the initiative of Pakistan, and I think they have a predetermined agenda, and that is twofold. One, they would also try to project themselves as the victim of terrorism,
Yes.
which because of the TTP, they have been having terror attacks. They will deny, they will say they have absolutely no role in the Pahalgam. And thirdly, they will try to shed, tears. They say India is trying to punish us, give us punitive measures, is
Okay.
taking punitive measures, like, the Indus Water Treaty, stopping water, which is against humanity, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
So, the world being with
So the
us
point is
is,
not what Pakistan is saying, but the point is whether the world believes this bluff or not. That's really the larger point.
no, they
And
don't believe, but they will not name or shame Pakistan in the
okay,
UN Security Council. I can give you in writing today.
General Sinha, what would you like in terms of your expectation from this meeting?
You see, it's my belief that Pakistan has got moles in a United Nations Security Council. There are countries who directly or indirectly support Pakistan. One example I'll tell you, then in United Nations, the mention of the fact that the terrorists asked for the religion of the people who have been killed and then killed them. They asked, are you Hindu? And then they killed. That line is gone. Under whose influence? Chinese influence. That means, imagine the TRF, the Resistance Front of China, which is an extension of Lashkar-e-Taiba, 2 days after the incident admitted that we have done it. Under pressure from ISI, after 4 days, they withdrew. The fact of the matter is that there is enough intelligence report, and we have satellite communication intercepts, which proves that Pakistan is involved. And there is no mention in United Nations. United Nations has taken any corrective action after 1947 to correct root cause of terrorism of Pakistan, which is the epicenter of terrorism.
Yes.
Nothing happens. It is put in FATF, then certain important countries start playing politics, and it is removed from FATF. The country which deserves to be put in blacklist is removed from grey list.
Indeed.
If this is the way world has to function, then countries like Pakistan will have their free run. The question is,
No, they won't have their free run. They won't have their free run because the world is able to see.
Gaurie, I'm telling you, they have got moles in the system. What action have they taken against Pakistan till now? I want to ask.
Ambassador Malhotra, do you think
what action against 9/11?
Okay.
26/11 case. What action?
Let me put that out to Ambassador Malhotra, which is that while you expect that there will be no naming and shaming of Pakistan at the UNSC closed door meeting, what do you expect could be the next course of action? Remember, diplomatically, there is a lot of support. Within the Trump administration, there is great amount of support. They put that out on record, likewise around the world as well. So what do you think could be India's next course of action after this?
No, Gaurie, what I can say for sure is that the global support and sympathy that has been expressed in the past 2 weeks or so in our favor, what would it translate into? It would translate into the fact that if we today decide to take some military action, or we identify some selected targets and hit them, I can assure you that there will be absolutely no resistance from any other country, particularly the global players. It's not 1971 when the United States, they sent their Seventh Fleet and all those kind
Yes.
of stuff. So they even some of them have defended our, they have said India has a right to defend itself. So if we are defending ourselves from terror attacks, there will be no hue and cry. I say so because of late the new normal is
Yes.
use force to secure your political rights if the need arises. This
Yes.
is what Azerbaijan did in Armenia. This is what Russia did in Ukraine.
Yes.
Now, this is what Israel is doing in Hamas. So this UN Security Council will end up by making once again an appeal to both sides to exercise restraint. They will express their
But they will not address
concern.
the root cause. That's what
No,
you
not
are
at
saying.
all.
They will not address the root cause,
Not
making this
at-
entire
even-
exercise
Even
meaningless at some level.
outside, Gauri, even outside the UN Security Council, everybody
Yes.
has, the good terrorists, bad terrorists. If the terror organization is aiming against United States
Yes.
of America, they'll do anything.
Yes.
In our case, if there is a India-specific terror, the best they will do is intelligence sharing, real-time intelligence
Absolutely.
sharing, and beyond that, nobody is interested. Nobody is going to do. They are not going to come and.
I
act
think
on
the
our
biggest
behalf,
difference is, I have to wrap this up, the biggest difference here is that this is not India of 1971, that it needs somebody else to take an action
No.
against the wrong that has been done on its soil,
Yes.
against its people. And that really is the biggest and the most important fact. Thank you so much, gentlemen, joining me today on India Global. I'm going to slip into a very short break, come back on the other side, talk more about, well, second Nepalese student found dead in a KIIT. What are the diplomatic and economic ramifications of that? We come back and talk more.
If your garage looks like this, you need Tougher Man. A leading supplier of shelving for your home or business. Assembly is quick, easy and boltless. Buy one bay from just $59.99, or you can get 3 bays from only $119.99, saving you nearly £60. Plus you get a 5-year Storelex steel guarantee. Order now at tougherman.co.uk.
Witness the fitness, the clock will tell 11. One hope, one quest.
Tomorrow starts tonight. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
It's time for some tombola. Working on that flat pack. Open for fun. Been bulking up the 6-pack. Open for fun.
What they don't tell you about getting older is how much fun it can be. Enjoying all the things you've worked so hard for. Spending time with the people that really matter. Not to mention, finally finding that precious time for yourself. I don't want anything taking my best years away from me, but like so many people, I've seen the heartbreak that dementia can cause. That's why I'm asking everyone to order this essential free guide from Alzheimer's Research UK. It's called Your Brain Matters. We all know what's good for our heart and our lungs, but do you know how to keep your brain healthy too? Well, this guide tells you how, in 7 steps you can start taking right now, whatever your age. Just ring the number on screen to get your free copy. Inside you'll find facts and tips that can keep your brain healthy and help reduce your risk of developing dementia. It's advice you can really trust from leading dementia scientists. Read it, keep it, and check back whenever you need to. Order your free copy now. Call Alzheimer's Research UK on 0800 035 5984 or text BRAIN2 to 78866. Think of it as another way of planning for your best years, because your brain really matters.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, With me, Radhika Iyer.
Members of National Assembly in Nepal are now calling on the government to stop sending their students to Odisha's Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology, or KIIT, following the death of two Nepalese female students under unclear circumstances in a matter of 3 months. The Parliament Secretariat says that lawmakers have proposed that no objection certificates now be withheld from any student that's planning to enroll at the institute. Remember, there are diplomatic, economic and larger ramifications of what is unfolding at KIIT. The External Affairs Ministry says it is aware of the situation, it is ensuring that probe is taking place, and the Government of India also wants that there should be an impartial probe. The UGC has done so as well. But what are the ramifications? Let's get in Lokraj Baral, who's the former ambassador of Nepal to India and also professor of political science, joining me to talk more on this. Sir, I think most people in New Delhi are deeply cognizant of the impact that these two unfortunate students have had in terms of the larger relationship between India and Nepal. How do you see this? What do you think should be the next course of action here?
Actually, there is an investigation going on, and we cannot come to the conclusion that so and such thing had happened. And unless the details are there, nobody can pass any kind of judgment on the issue. Because people here are concerned because two girls, actually, for the last 4 months, two girls have been, killed there. That is the concerns expressed by some members of parliament, and of course that is quite natural. But I don't think that that is going to create major impact on India-Nepal relations.
And that's, I think, the larger point, isn't it? That India is supporting probe. India is trying to ensure everything that can be done is done. And these cases do not spiral into larger issues. But how do you see this now being seen in Kathmandu, given the fact that lawmakers are now wanting to take stricter action? How is Kathmandu viewing this?
I know it is quite natural that a few members, actually 2-3 members yesterday, raised this issue in parliament. Even today some raised it. It's quite natural that two girls have been killed, and what are the reason, what are the factors behind it, and they were just showing their concern. That's all. The government has not come, and very positive because the India government is also cooperating, and even the university, UGC, all are cooperating, and here also the government has not come to the conclusion, so and so. Only few members of parliament, they said that no more students should be sent to the college. That is the kind of concern, and I don't think that is going to create a major impact on major issues of India-Nepal relation.
All right, sir, we leave it there. Thank you so much for giving us Kathmandu's view on an unfortunate story which may snowball into a bigger relationship issue between India and Nepal. Shifting focus now from one neighbor to another. From Nepal, I'm now shifting focus now to Bangladesh, where Bangladeshis are now being given visas at 24 hours turnaround period by China. What is the larger impact of this? Is it trying to fill a vacuum, given that many of them were actually coming to India on medical visas? What's the larger impact of something like this? Dr. Pramod Chilani joins me to talk more on this. Dr. Chilani, green channel for Bangladeshis' medical visas is bound to have a larger impact on our strategic calculus, isn't it?
Well, not really, because how many Bangladeshis will go to China? The reason why the bulk of Bangladeshis wanting medical treatment overseas who are coming to India is because they could find Bengali-speaking doctors in India. Going to China, there will be a language problem for them, plus the cost of medical care in China is about 50% higher than in India. Bangladeshis have the option of going to Thailand or to Singapore, but the treatment costs both in Thailand and Singapore are higher than in India. So that will be one limitation on China rolling out expedient visas, medical visas for Bangladeshis. The problem is this, that the Indian High Commission in Dhaka is operating at reduced staff strength because it's still not safe for Indians to be in Bangladesh. Dhaka itself is experiencing rampant lawlessness, so the High Commission of India is functioning at reduced strength. But a second factor is that some Bangladeshis, not all, but some Bangladeshis who have taken medical visas have actually misused that kind of visa by engaging in other activities in India. So the Indian government is seeking to very carefully vet medical visa applications now. That's another reason why there's delay in issuing visas to Bangladeshis. Lots of visas are still being issued, but not at the same pace as they were being issued last year, simply because of these two reasons.
That's an important point. Radical Islamist elements have also, in fact, raised their ugly head. But that's an important perspective, Dr. Chilani, that you gave us, that Bangladeshis may be welcome when it comes to medical facilities in China, but do they really want to go is the big question. I'm going to slip into a very short break, come back on the other side, talk more about Israel's big warning to Iran after Houthi strikes. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome. We have a very special guest with us here today on the NDTV network for an exclusive interview. It's the Second Lady of the United States, Ms. Usha Vance. Ms. Vance, NDTV की दर्शकों की तरफ से आपको नमस्कार. You know, there's a lot of curiosity about what's going on in your kitchen. Everyone is most interested because the Vice President himself has said that he was a meat and potatoes man until he met you, and then your mother taught him how to cook. So now everyone wants to know, what is it that he cooks for you?
Well, he's very experimental. He'll try anything. So he's done everything from chana masala to has been making a specialty of desserts recently. So our children especially enjoy that.
In your home, what does a traditional Indian meal look like?
Well, my family is from Andhra Pradesh. And so
they have the most amazing cuisine.
Yes, I think so. Although we've been enjoying the food of other areas as well while we're here. So my mother and grandmother are both excellent cooks, and my father too actually makes very good dosa, pasaratu, things like that. So, I mean, I think it looks exactly like what you might imagine. You know, sometimes it's very simple and it's sambar and rice and some sort of kura. Sometimes it's a little more complicated, and my mom pulls out all the stops and makes pulao or something, or a few dishes. But it's a vegetarian household, so that usually defines it.
And the Andhra cuisine is famous for its chutneys. Do you manage to get all the ingredients together there?
I am not a preparer of chutneys, but my grandmother makes wonderful chutneys, and I think she manages to figure it all out. She gets the ingredients at the Indian stores near us.
Well, that's wonderful. You know, there was something else that I was reading about you, and the fact that at your wedding, you had a traditional Indian ceremony and you also had a traditional American ceremony. And it's a beautiful metaphor for the way people across the globe are coming together culturally. And was that very important to you?
Well, it was very important. We got married in Kentucky, which is the state where my husband's family was from, but we had so many people fly from all over the world, including India. And so both our guest list and the ceremonies were sort of a representation of our very different backgrounds coming together. And you know, my parents, of course, were married in a traditional Hindu ceremony. And so when I imagined weddings and what that might look like, I imagined the pictures that I'd seen of them.
But what did you and the Vice President like, especially at the Amer Fort?
Well, I mean, obviously the architecture is spectacular, and we really enjoyed seeing the mix of cultures that were brought in when they were building it in the first instance. So you see the Persian influence, and of course you see elements of Hinduism with the lotus references, and it was just a really interesting representation of the position that the Mughal Empire had at the time and the way that they were sort of projecting themselves. So it was a fascinating study in history.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has pledged multiple strikes against Yemen's Houthi rebels after a missile fired by the Iran-backed group landed near its airport, the country's main international airport. claiming responsibility for the attack. Houthis said they acted in solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. Israel's security cabinet has reportedly approved a plan to capture all of the Gaza Strip and remain there for an unspecified amount of time. The plan was approved today and is part of Israel's efforts to increase pressure on Hamas to free hostages, negotiate a ceasefire on Israel's terms, and it comes a week before US President Donald Trump's big Middle East visit. What is happening to the big plan of ending this war? Are we farthest away from the ceasefire? With Houthis coming in, what is the future for the Middle East is our big story right now. And as always, the big questions on your screens, viewers. Let's take them out. Israel's fresh warning, escalate. Will it escalate tensions? The truce talks are off the table amidst renewed offensive. We ask that question. Iran threatens US bases. Are nuclear talks now stalled? And tensions are escalating ahead of that big visit by Donald Trump. Joining me to talk more on this is Dr. Kinraj, in fact, Dr. Vailavad and Dr. Brahmachelani. In fact, Dr. Kinraj, let me start with you. The latest escalation that one is seeing, the tensions one is seeing, gives a sense that we are probably looking at a scenario where instead of ending the war, we're probably looking at another escalation in a very deeply troubling scenario.
Yes, indeed, it is a troubling scenario. But as far as Benjamin Netanyahu is concerned, he's fighting this war for three reasons: his domestic political survival, his refusal to negotiate anything diplomatic and political about the post-Hamas scenario for the Palestinian issue, and third, just to make a very belligerent, aggressive regional hegemony for the state of Israel. Now, in all of these three aims, the security of the Israeli state is deeply compromised. As we saw, Houthis could reach to the single available international airport in Israel, and the whole country is in actually domestic infighting. The infighting in Israel is almost like a civil war. And the president and the ex-chief justice of Israel have openly said that we are officially in a civil war as far as domestic divisions are concerned. And for all of this, Netanyahu uses the war in Gaza as a proxy. It's really a proxy war for him. There is no real war in Gaza. It's much into the domestic Israeli
they may not.
politics.
You may say that there is no war in Gaza, but these Houthi rebels are, yes, they have been able to beat the Iron Dome. They've been successful in ensuring that they land and a strike in Israel. But that indicates another round of escalation, doesn't it, Dr. Jalani?
Yes, especially because the Israeli Prime Minister says that Iran is behind the latest rocket attack on the Ben Gurion International Airport. So in a way, he's implying that Israel will impose costs on Iran. That signifies potential escalation. But look at the larger picture. First, you have Israel that's still engaged in wars against Hamas in Gaza, against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, and now against the Houthis. Then you have the US under President Trump. He came to office promising to
He will end this in one day.
No, he said he will end the war in Ukraine, and he will also calm the Middle East. But he has done the opposite. He's been bombing Yemen for the last 50 days now. And questions are being asked as to what the US is achieving through this bombing campaign. He, in a way, has encouraged Israel to continue with its wars. And then in Ukraine, he's now supplying air defense systems to Ukraine as if his efforts at promoting a ceasefire are failing. So for Trump, things are not going well. For Israel, while it's clearly dominant militarily, yet it is fighting non-state actors. All these groups, the Houthis, the
Hamas, the Hezbollah, all of them.
They're all non-state actors. And the only state actor that the Israeli Prime Minister is now threatening to impose costs on is Iran. But Iran is not a small country. Iran is a major military power. And if there was any kind of direct conflict between Israel and Iran, that
Yes.
would certainly put the entire Middle East on fire.
It indeed would. Dr. Awad, where do you see this in terms of an Iran-Israel conflict escalating, given the fact that Prime Minister Netanyahu did mention Iran in so many words?
Well, I think to give the benefit of doubt to President Trump that he does not want to have a war, when the Prime Minister Netanyahu went last visit to the U.S., to the White House, he came out disappointed because he failed to make the American administration take on his terms and agree on a regional war or expanding it into Iran. So Iran has been on the main target for Israel. In fact, if you what Dr. Brahma have missed is Syria, that has been getting the brunt of the Israeli bombing throughout the night and the day for no reason now. You have already removed Hezbollah, you removed Iran, you removed Assad, but then also the same group which you have supported since 2013, now they're saying these are terrorist groups and we have to keep bombing them. So I think what is the survival of Netanyahu is the more he continue in power, the more he has to continue war in the region. And I think the Houthis have given him the message that they are independent with Iran. No doubt that Iran have supported the Houthis. But remember, Gaurie, that the Houthis have been Ansarullah. They have been fighting a war, coalition war since 2015 when the United States led that war. And then they stopped over, the Saudis, the UAE pulled out, and again, they have taken part in this war and saying that if you stop the war on Gaza, we will halt our operation against Israel.
Okay, Dr. Kinraj, this comes ahead of President Trump's important visit to the Middle East. All eyes will be whether he's able to convert some of these challenges into possible opportunities for a ceasefire. Does that look likely?
No, it doesn't. I don't think he hopes for any ceasefire. But what is going to be interesting in Israel? Israel doesn't want his trip to Saudi Arabia go hassle-free. Remember, for last 2 years, Saudi Arabia promised it would normalize relations with Israel. But Israel went on a belligerence, meaning Israel refused to have any kind of a post-war conversation about Hamas or Gaza. So Saudi Arabia will strike a deal with America without having normalization with Israel. That's a big diplomatic loss for the Israeli state. Second, in the last 2 weeks, Netanyahu has made it very clear that he's not happy with Trump administration when it comes to Trump's policy towards Erdogan in Turkey and Iran. In fact, if we notice the recent firing of the National Security Advisor from the White House, Mr. Waltz, he was fired precisely because he was briefing Netanyahu more on the Iranian issue than Trump would like him to do.
Okay.
So actually, very soon we would realize that Trump will make some very unkind statements against Netanyahu's leadership.
So maybe we should brace for that. As we wrap this up, Dr. Chilani, I want to ask you, what would you expect to be the best case scenario in terms of President Trump's visit to the Middle East next week, given the volatility right now?
This is a very important visit by Trump, his first since he took over, returned to the White House. He'll be holding a summit with Gulf state leaders. He'll be unveiling his Middle East vision. He'll be seeking to promote greater involvement, greater U.S. involvement in peace building in the Middle East. In his first term, he had the Abraham Accords. He did make forward movement. In his second term, he wants to end the volatility in the Middle East, make it more stable. Now, of course, that's a huge task given the fact that the Middle East is a very complex place. But still, I think this visit of President Trump is important because of the key leaders that he will be meeting on this trip and the plans that he has. Of course, some of the plans that he earlier unveiled, he no longer is actually embracing. For example, he earlier proposed the U.S. taking over Gaza. Yes. He has no longer spoken about U.S. takeover of Gaza, but instead what he did, the vision that he outlined earlier has encouraged Israel to now seek to occupy the entire Gaza. So even though Trump has abandoned his Gaza takeover plan, Israel has taken off where Trump has left. But I think Trump certainly means business. He certainly wants to pacify or at least stabilize the Middle East. And I think we'll have to wait and see as to what he achieves next week when he embarks on his first second-term visit overseas.
As we wrap this up, well, all eyes on the visit. What one can say is that expectations have really tempered in terms of what can be really achieved out of President Trump's first visit to the Middle East. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'm going to slip into a very short break, come back and talk more about President Trump and his plans of Made in America movies and what it means for the film world. Stay with us.
If your garage looks like this, you need Tougher Man. A leading supplier of shelving for your home or business. Assembly is quick, easy and boltless. Buy one bay from just $59.99, or you can get 3 bays from only $119.99, saving you nearly £60. Plus you get a 5-year Storelex steel guarantee. Order now at tougherman.co.uk.
Life's full of times like this. Oh yeah. The gaps between the good stuff. Okay. Like killing time in waiting rooms. It's not long until you've had enough. David, it's time for some tombola. Working on that flat pack. Open for fun. Been bulking up the 6-pack. Open for fun. Yes! I've won £11. All right, calm down. It's just a bit of bingo. Open for fun.
PlusNet's sweet deal on full fibre is full of value. Treat yourself to fast and reliable broadband from only $24.99 a month. And with no activation fees, yes please, with speeds up to 900 megabits, faster than a sugar rush. And ooh, a reward card, that's a plus. Call us now or visit plus.net for our best price. Ends 7th of May. Oh, go on then.
We know that living with diabetes can make daily life a challenge, and we're here to help.
I felt very low with the diagnosis and very lonely as well, and embarrassed.
I think people don't necessarily realise the impact that being diabetic can have on you, and the amount of extra decisions you have to make a day through carb counting every single thing you eat.
Day-to-day living with diabetes is really difficult. So Diabetes UK has made my life easier every day.
If you're struggling with the everyday challenges diabetes can bring, maybe it's time to become a Diabetes UK member. Call 0800 035 7601 or go online to become a member. And for just £3 a month, you'll get a welcome pack and a practical guide tailored to your type of diabetes, and a copy of Balance magazine 4 times a year.
Balance magazine has been very good in giving me tips to manage my diabetes on a day-to-day basis.
Plus regular email updates with the latest diabetes news and special discounts.
One of the things I was recommended to do was exercise. What motivated me was my love of dance, and I got that back.
Join a community that really understands. Call 0800 035 7601 or go online to become a member for just £3 a month.
I would recommend Diabetes UK to anyone with diabetes. Join up, become part of a community, get that support that you need.
US President Donald Trump has now announced a 100% tariff on all movies that are produced and made in foreign lands, quote unquote. Posting on his Truth Social platform, Trump said that he has instructed the Department of Commerce and the US Trade Representative, USTR, to begin the process immediately, though he offered no details on how this entire measure will actually be enforced. The film industry has already been feeling the effects of Trump tariffs as China in April responded to the US-China trade war by reducing the quota of American movies that are allowed in the country. The tariffs are likely to deal a significant blow to Western studios, especially Walt Disney, Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery, still struggling to rebound after the pandemic. Meanwhile, Australia and New Zealand have pledged to support their local film industries in light of Trump's announcement. Now, what does this mean? What's the larger impact? How many movies actually get made outside of America? and how much could they actually bring back to these American studios? Girish Vankere, who's a film trade analyst, joins me to answer some of those questions. Girish, now help us understand, why is it that President Trump is actually wanting movies to be made in America? What is the kind of upside that he's hoping to get?
See, he has seriously observed that there are many countries like South Korea and Japan, which has been predominantly taking the share of the international content, especially animation. Japan and China are doing amazing. In the romantic dramas, South Korea is doing amazing. So there are a lot of new audiences which the world has found in the name of the other counterparts like Japan and China. So this was something which has made America insecure. And if we see recent years, the contribution or the number or the percentage of US films which have been gaining momentum has reduced in last 4 years.
Okay.
Year 2024 was the least business which US films has done in India. So it is not in India. Globally, Hollywood has been known for doing the only remakes or doing only typical style of films which people are now rejecting.
Okay.
So this is one of the biggest reason where they want.
No, so how can he turn the tables?
Revisit.
How can he fix this?
No, they want to revisit that. They want to create bigger revenue by levying taxes like 100% tariff. If they are doing 100% tariff for Indian content, obviously the films which are released in the US will be reduced drastically. If we are releasing a film with a distribution cost of say 2 crores, if now 100% tariff will be 4 crores. So the guy who is distributing of content.
Okay, now let's decode
this.
Let's decode this. Let's say the next Shah Rukh Khan movie has to release in the US. Talk to us, explain to us what changes with these 100% tariffs.
Exactly. So if a Shah Rukh Khan film is released there, the distributor, local distributor in the US will charge say 6 crore from the Indian counterpart to release that film. Now
he'll charge 12 crores.
Yeah, it will become 12 crore. Now this money which this Indian counterpart has to pay will definitely go in from his advances. It is called the advance fees or the MG, minimum guarantee for the Indian counterpart. If that becomes so big, he will choose the less number of screens instead of going all out, and that will be reduction in the content which has been given to the US.
Okay.
So instead of going all out with 6 crores or 8 crores, he will have a limited release, and that will be the limited visibility of our film.
Okay, so let's see how this pans out. One can say that maybe the star appeal of someone like a Shah Rukh Khan is not going to have an impact, but maybe some of the smaller stars, newer filmmakers, newer ideas, new studios probably could stand to get impacted, but who knows? Devil lies in the detail. We are yet to find out how those tariffs will really be stacked up once they come out in greater detail. All right, thanks much, and we now shift focus to the UK. Well, there were local polls that took place on the 1st of May. While those local polls had a national impact, and that was Nigel Farage's far-right party, that is a Reform UK. It flicked a crucial parliamentary seat from UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Labour Party. Many would say that that has encouraged the anti-immigrant leader's prime ministerial ambitions. In fact, a Tory leader also went on to say, Kemi Badenoch, who is the Tory leader, has admitted it is feasible that Nigel Farage could become the next Prime Minister. A concern for immigrants given the firebrand's vow to stop immigrants from entering all reform-led councils in what may be a very Trump-style move. But the fact is, the far right has gained in these local polls. What's the national impact? Let's get a Nicholas Stugent, as always, British journalist, former BBC editor, joining me live from London. Nicholas, one may dismiss these as local polls, but they clearly have a national undercurrent, don't they?
Well, I wouldn't dismiss them as local polls. They are, of course, important, and they are a pointer. But local polls are fought on very different issues from those at the centre. And yes, the Reform Party under Nigel Farage can talk about limiting migration, but that's not a local power. That's entirely at the centre. So it's entirely in the hands of the ruling party at the moment. And I think you could say that the fact that reform has advanced in the local polls is because of discontent with the central parties, Labour and previously the Conservatives, who don't seem to have been able to keep illegal migration, or indeed migration in general, under control. So yes, we read the signs from this election, and Mr. Farage has increased his membership, his party's membership of the House of Commons by 1, so it's a total of 5 now, which is still way behind those of the major 2 parties.
Absolutely,
so
it may
I
be.
think
Right, it is in single digits, but I want to understand from you 2 things. One is that Mr. Farage has gone on to say his mayors have also said that they are not going to allow immigrants in the councils that they've been elected to. And what do you make of Conservative Party leaders in fact saying that Mr. Farage may in fact, at least he should be harbouring PM ambitions if nothing else?
Well, he definitely does harbour those ambitions, no question about it. And that was the case even before these local elections. He would love to be Prime Minister, and a lot of people would like to see him Prime Minister. I'm only really pointing out that it's a long haul before he gets anywhere close to that. And I don't read the results from last Thursday as showing he's particularly far advanced in that. About your specific question about limiting migration within the areas controlled by the Reform Party, well, as I said, dealing with migration and indeed illegal migrants and the housing of illegal migrants is entirely a central government issue. So the parties controlled by Reform can make a bit of an issue about it, but they can't stop it. That is entirely in the hands of the ruling Labour Party at the moment.
So there'll probably
I'm
be
just
some
trying
noise
to put this
around
all in
it.
perspective.
Yeah, there'll be some noise around it, but there may not be any action. But one thing then I want to ask you, sir, is that going forward, what's the message here for the Labour Party? Because many believe that some of the promises that they had made for the local polls weren't fulfilled, and this is people speaking up against some of Labour policies.
Well, I agree. I mean, what we saw was a protest vote, and it was a protest vote against the 2 major parties. The Labour Party in power now, yes, you haven't done enough to stop migration, so it's a protest, but also a protest against the Conservative Party that ruled for 14 years before at the centre. So it is a wake-up call for both those parties. Get things going, especially the party in power at the moment, of course, Labour Party, or you risk losing seriously at the next general election, which is still 4 1/4 years away, probably. So a lot can change. So I'm not belittling the significance of last week's vote. It is very important. It seems to make Nigel Farage a tiny bit closer to power at the centre, but I still think he has a very long way to go. But I would call last week's vote essentially a protest vote against the present government, Labour Party government, and the Conservatives. And it's the Conservatives who've lost more than the ruling Labour Party. They lost more seats to Reform because, of course, they are you could say, the alternative right-leaning party. And there's still quite a lobby that would like to see Reform and Conservative fight the next election together. But I don't think that will happen. So, yes, we read all the signs, but I wouldn't read too much into it in terms of what it means for the next election, because a long way to go before we get the next general election. Probably a long way to go, of course, assuming this government survives as long as it can.
Yes.
And let's face it, there's every chance that Labour will turn around its fortunes and bring things like migration under control. I'm not making a prediction, I don't know. But they've certainly had the warning signs from this election.
All right, we leave it there. Nicholas Nugent, thanks so much for giving us that perspective from London. Shifting focus now to, well, the biggest event on the social calendars of celebrities around the world. The buzz and hype around the Met Gala. In fact, it's peaking now, and The Met Gala is, remember, held annually on the first Monday of May, which marks the opening of the Costume Institute's annual fashion exhibit. And this year we'll see the debut of King Khan. Shah Rukh Khan is all set to make his debut at the global fashion event in a Sabyasachi creation. This year's theme focuses on the influence of black designers and culture on fashion. After making a mark at the Coachella Music Festival and Paris Fashion Week, Diljit Dosanjh will also be making his debut along with actress Kiara Advani. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Global. Thanks so much for watching.
Discover the finest quality made-to-measure blinds, shutters and curtains at Blinds Direct. A huge selection of beautiful window dressings to suit every room. Handmade here in the UK with a 5-year guarantee for your peace of mind. Order your free samples today and choose your perfect design. Exclusively online, delivered direct to your door. Shop now for 30% off selected products at Blinds Direct. Create your dream home with blindsdirect.co.uk.
Don't miss Sharp's half-price spring savings. Get Sharp's bespoke fitted furniture for every room, from living spaces to home offices and bedrooms. Many ranges are now half-price, including our must-have Manhattan range. Our exclusive Space Plus system means we won't be beaten on space. Plus, you get our 15-year guarantee for total peace of mind. Refresh your home with Sharp's this spring. Book your free home design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
Someone's happy. Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo, the site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. 75 ball bingo, even 90 ball bingo. Fill your bingo boots today. Get that lucky cow feeling at luckycowbingo.com/bingo or download the Lucky Cow Android app from the Play Store.
I think that there's something that's always there that I just need to uncover. Like, I know I'm gonna get there, but I have to be patient with myself. That's probably the scary part for me. And it's okay, like, if you completely pivot and change. You know, you have to be comfortable with that.
Amazon, we're using paper bags for more of our deliveries and only adding packaging where it's needed. It's how we've reduced the weight of our packaging by more than 40%.
What you gonna do?
Whatever you need to ask about cancer, Macmillan's free support line is just a call away.
Hello, Macmillan.
Whether it's money,
am I going to lose my job?
Getting on with life,
Can I still go abroad? Get insurance?
or just need someone to listen.
How do I tell them?
Our specialist advisors are here to help as often as you need them. Whatever you need to ask, cancer, money, life, call us now on 0808 134 1000.
Step into your future with learning that can take you anywhere.
This part is really important on the side.
All by yourself. Listen to everybody. Everybody say, be everybody else. Can't you see?
Thank you, Your Honor. The case is very, very simple.
Ain't nobody just like
The Open University. The future is open.
At Direct Line, we know that for multi-property landlords, sometimes the tiniest of things can turn into way bigger problems. From niggly contract issues to keeping up with ever-changing legislation. That's why Direct Line's landlord insurance offers a 24/7 legal helpline as standard. Because a call with someone could help to make the hairiest of problems feel that little bit smoother. Search Direct Line Landlord Insurance. We're on it.
Like many, I never gave my hearing a thought. But when it changed, I didn't want to lose what makes me, me. Hidden Hearing came highly recommended, with over 10,000 Trustpilot reviews. They understood. It wasn't just about hearing better, but living the life I love.
Join over 100,000 customers who trust our personalised care. Book your free hearing test today at one of our clinics nationwide. Hidden Hearing. Your hearing is our expertise.
President Vladimir Putin calls Prime Minister Modi, conveys his strong condemnation of the Pahalgam attack. Karnataka announces a massive survey of subcastes under the scheduled caste category under the Justice Nagmohan Das panel to implement internal reservation amongst scheduled castes. First up this evening, a quick check of the top national story. A series of key meetings at the Prime Minister's office of top officials and ministers as the India-Pakistan situation continues to be fragile. India, meanwhile, has kept its diplomatic offensive up on Pakistan and has written to the Asian Development Bank to suspend all financial assistance to Pakistan. My colleague Aishwarya Jain joins me live with the latest. Aishwarya, tell us the latest you're hearing from your sources in the Prime Minister's office.
Well, since the Pahalgam terror attack, this is the second time when Prime Minister had reached his office, and crucial meetings are underway. One, of course, of the government work. It's the selection of the new CBI director, and therefore the reason perhaps the selection panel, which consists of Prime Minister, the CGI, and the leader of opposition, all have reached the Prime Minister's office, and that meeting is still underway at the Prime Minister's office. But importantly, regarding the Pahalgam terror attack, it's been 13 days and multiple rounds of meetings are taking place. And let me show you these visuals from the Prime Minister's office here at the South Block at Raisina Hills. The meeting is still underway. Prime Minister reached over here and he met the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. Post that, it was Home Secretary Govind Mohan who also arrived at the Prime Minister's office, and a series of meetings went on from here on, in which Prime Minister chaired. He's also meeting officials from the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Defence Ministry, as well as the External Affairs Ministry as well. But let me tell you, this afternoon it was Prime Minister Narendra Modi who was briefed by the Defence Secretary R.K. Singh at his residence, and that meeting lasted for almost 30 minutes. This meeting came after the Air Chief and the Navy Chief also separately met Prime Minister Narendra Modi at his residence yesterday and day before yesterday, and it is a straight message from Prime Minister. The government sources have stated that Prime Minister has given free hand to the Indian Armed Forces, and he had shown full confidence in the capabilities of Indian Armed Forces as well. The time, place and the mode of target would be selected by the Indian Armed Forces, and therefore the reason perhaps these meetings hold very, very significant and importance at this point of time when India is about to give a befitting reply to the perpetrators of terrorism who are sitting across the borders.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Aishwarya. We'll keep a close track of those meetings there. Now to our special focus this evening, the controversy around noted Bollywood singer Sonu Nigam and his confrontation with Kannada activists during a concert in Bengaluru. Based on complaints filed before it, the Bengaluru police has issued notices to the singer over his alleged comments and asked him to respond within 3 days. The Kannada Film Chamber's music director's body has demanded an unconditional apology from him and announced a quote-unquote non-cooperation with him. The singer allegedly angrily responded to a group demanding he sing Kannada songs at a concert in Bengaluru with a reference to the terror attack in Pahalgam. He, however, clarified on Instagram that he loves Kannada people and had even come prepared with several Kannada songs, and that his response was merely to a few goons who were disrupting the show.
एक होता है कन्नड़ा 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 और एक होता है कन्नड़ा कन्नड़ा कन्नड़ा। फर्क है दोनों में। सिर्फ 4-5 गुंडे टाइप थे जो वहां पे चला रहे थे। उनको इनफैक्ट वहां के हजारों लोग मना भी करते थे, Kannada guys are beautiful people, so please do not generalize them. सिर्फ 4 या 5 लड़के थे जो मुझे हम आंखों में देख के गुस्से से पहले गाने के बाद में, not even like half an hour of the show, first song मैंने गाना खत्म किया and they started looking at me, not demanding, they were threatening.
Sonu Nigam there putting forth his point of view. So is he being unnecessarily targeted, or has the singer been provocative in his response? Joining us this evening, Sajid Gowda of the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike, actor Shehzad Khan from Bollywood, and Sanjana Galrani as well. My first question to you, Sajid Gowda, you heard Sonu Nigam's clarification there. He says he had several Kannada songs and loves Kannada, and that his response at that concert was only to some 4 or 5 people disrupting it. Is it time to drop the issue, or do you believe he still needs to send out an unconditional apology?
Thank you, Viragav. So, Sonu Nigam has to send out an unconditional apology. That's the first thing. Simply because, not because he doesn't want, or basically he didn't sing the song, or Kannada song, or any of that. Simply because he compared this ask, or even insistence, to Kashmir attack. So there was no reason to bring the terrorist attack in this issue. There is absolutely, unnecessary provocation that he has done. He has basically created disharmony within the community in the state, and he needs to apologize for that. That's a very clear demand from us.
You're saying that he has to apologize because he unnecessarily brought a connection with the terror attack at a concert. He could have just told the fans something else, but he unnecessarily made a provocative comment. Shehzad Saab, your response.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
We seem to be having a problem with your line. We'll get that corrected. Sanjana Galrani, where do you stand on this issue?
I think sometimes it's very good to be extremely humble, apologize, and wash your hands off from a controversy. And especially when it comes to people of Karnataka, we all are very hyper-emotional people. And when it comes to our language, Kannada and Kannadigas, if there's even a small finger that is raised upon it, the entire hand will be cut off. That is how people look at it over here. And people are very hyper emotional. And this has not gone down very well because clearly he shouldn't have made such a harsh comparison to Kashmir's Pahalgam terrorist attacks. ठीक है, maybe these people were arrogant. He could have just told something like, don't be so arrogant. Please wait for some time. Your songs are coming next. And there ends the topic. But such a harsh comparison or such a derogatory reply of comparing them to the Kashmir Pahalgam attack terrorists is definitely not gone down with anyone very well in Karnataka. Though there might be some practicality in his own point of view, but this is not something that can just be forgotten. And Sonu Nigam is a legend out here. He sang some really beautiful, historically successful Kannada songs, and people love him and love his songs. I don't think there's one song also of his which is a flop over here. Everything is a blockbuster hit. In Hindi, still you'll find a few Sonu Nigam flop songs, but in Kannada, everything is a blockbuster hit. So people look at him with so much love and compassion. And this kind of an attitude coming from a person whom they really love is definitely not accepted. Yep. If I was to be Sonu Nigam, I'm telling you, I would have joined my hands. I would have apologized because it has hurt the heart.
But the point is, Sanjana, I take your point, and I'm just putting a counterpoint across till we try to fix the line with Shehzad. Sajid, the problem's also people in a concert in the middle of all that trying to provoke a response. For instance, if let's say a Def Leppard or a Guns N' Roses was playing, if somebody were to turn around and say Kannada songs, Kannada songs, Kannada songs, it does become completely trying to disrupt a situation. So while his response may be something he needs to apologize for, it's also the kind of provocation that he was put forth. I'm being devil's advocate and putting that point across to you. Sajid Gowda.
So, that's right. So maybe somebody has provoked it. I don't know. I was not in the concert, or I didn't hear what the provocations were. So I don't want to comment on the exact part of the provocations itself. However, his response, his mindset of linking this demand to play Kannada song or sing Kannada song to terrorist attack? I mean, basically, what is the connection here? How is he even connecting these two things? It is the most natural thing to expect Kannada in Karnataka. Where else do you expect Kannada, Kannada songs, Kannada services, Kannada, everything? This is Kannada land. This is the people from thousands and thousands of years have spoken Kannada here. This is basically Kannada speaking place. And then naturally people would have asked, because he is loud, like Sanjana was mentioning, he's a loud singer here. We have a lot of songs which are our favorites, which are sung by Sonu Nigam. So there is no controversy in that part of it. I mean, he has been accepted here, and this is the written gift he is giving. He is comparing a Kashmir attack. I mean, what does it mean? What is he even trying to say?
So you're saying that the response was unnecessary, and it's best that he just apologizes and let it pass off. If it was a momentary angry response, it's fine. We accept that it could have been an angry response, but let him just apologize and let the issue rest. That's your point that you're saying, Shehzad Saab. The point that both Sanjana Galrani and Sajid Gowda are raising is that the response was unnecessary. It could be something that he can just do away with by sending out an apology, because he is an icon here in Karnataka as well.
See, I would like to say one thing. Maybe he did not like the way the people, the audience, people in the audience must have told him to sing the song, and that must have hurt him, or that must have rubbed the wrong shoulder, as you say. So this was his reaction. But definitely, I agree to my panelists that he should not have compared it to the incident that has happened in Pahalgam, because these are two different things. When an artist goes to perform for an event, he has to listen to the wants of the public, because ultimately it is the public who's buying the ticket, who's paying for the artist and everything. So he has to listen. He should not have overreacted. Yes, he could have said, yes, I'm singing, just let me sing a few of my songs and then I will sing back. But this kind of a thing is very immature-ish, and I think that's not right as an artist. I see it as a point of view as an artist that should not have been said. The Pahalgam attack should not have been compared to. But that was it's a very, very drastic thing that has happened. And I think he should... Yes, that is absolutely.
No, I take that point, but I'm just going to ask Sanjana Galrani this. When a performer comes, and I take your point that you're making, that the comparison may have been wrong, but let's leave the comparison aside. The core problem, Sanjana Galrani, is also, I think the message that is being sent across is that when you are dividing people in the name of language. I think that's the core message that is being sent across, or the core context of what he tried to say. When a performer is coming and performing, I mean, should we just ignore it? Why create this into a political issue? It was a interaction, an altercation between 4 or 5 fans who were trying to disrupt his show, and he responded to it. Why make it a big issue and turn it into bigger than what it is? That's a quick question. Sanjana Galrani, and then finally to Sajid Gowda.
First, I'll tell you a few words in Kannada. Kannada nama ಮಾತೃಭಾಷೆ. ಕನ್ನಡದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಕೆಟ್ಟದಾಗ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅವರನ್ನ ಸಹಿಸ್ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಬಿಟ್ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. And what I meant is Kannada in Karnataka is like worship, like a mother tongue, like a mother language, and it straight hits the heart. It does not go into the brain. You talk something like this, it will not be accepted. That's it. I am from Bangalore. I am a Kannadati. Naan Bengaluru-inda. Namma bhashe Kannada. So this is not accepted. Adu kuda ನೀವು ಕಾಶ್ಮೀರಲ್ಲಿ terrorist ಜೊತೆ compare ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಘಂಟಾಘೋಷವಾಗಿ we will not accept this. You can't compare this to Pahalgam attack terrorists. You can just ignore it. So many artists are attacked in the particular concerts. What is the new thing? Artists are also thrown things upon. Still they handle it diplomatically. They keep their calm and they continue the show. You cannot react so harshly. You're a Padma Bhushan, you're a Padma Vibhushan. You have so many awards. You have so many awards.
One second, let Shehzad respond. You've made a very emphatic point.
I totally agree. I totally agree that what our panelist has said is it's right. That it could have been handled in a more better way. But when somebody wants to make something viral, artists do these kind of things. It is seen in the past also when people want to do something viral. Exactly. Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. A professional artist and
anyone's life.
it is
absolutely. लोग नाराज हो गए. इंडस्ट्री के बड़े-बड़े
बिल्कुल.
प्रोड्यूसर्स यहाँ पे स्ट्राइक कर रहे हैं. This is literally आबेल मुझे मार.
नहीं, एब्सोल्युटली, ये बिल्कुल, ये इसकी जरूरत ही नहीं थी। अगर कोई भी समझदार आर्टिस्ट होता या कोई भी ऐसा होता तो बोलता हाँ हाँ मैं गा रहा हूँ। अल्टीमेटली पब्लिक ने टिकट खरीद के वहां गए ना, कोई फ्री में तो वो गा नहीं रहे थे। पीपल मस्ट हैव, ऑर्गेनाइजर्स ने पैसे दिए होंगे, पब्लिक ने टिकट खरीदी होगी, तो पब्लिक की बिल्कुल। और पहले उन्होंने कन्नड़ा गाना गाए, ऐसे नहीं कि कोई सिर्फ हिंदी गाने गाए उन्होंने। तो उनका तो पूरा वो बनता है कि पब्लिक को खुश करे। एक समझदार आर्टिस्ट जो होता है, और ऑफ दैट स्टेचर ऑफ सोनू निगम, he should have definitely agreed and gone with the flow what the audience
सामने
wants.
वाला जितना भी harsh है, however
Sajid
harsh
Gauda,
the
is it
opposite
being
person
picked
is,
up because it's a big star and it's a political controversy? The real reason why it's getting picked up is because it's a big star and a political controversy.
No, it's not. So simple. This is a mindset. I mean, like I mentioned before also, but you also touched upon that point, that how is asking Kannada in Karnataka dividing people? The most natural thing of Karnataka is Kannada. Karnataka is based on Kannada language. So, I mean, this mindset that, languages divide people. No, we didn't create. Kannada activists don't create languages. Languages were already there. India is a multilingual country. All linguistic people have come together to form this Indian Union, and every language has its own place. Like Bengali has Bengal, or Tamil Nadu has Tamil, Karnataka is Kannada. So this is the most
Marathi
natural.
has
I mean, all the
Maharashtra.
Kannadikas are clustered in Karnataka. This is Kannada people's land. People who come here, who live here from different parts of the country, becomes Kannadigas in their generation. They become naturalists. So this is the most natural thing. And asking Kannada in Karnataka shouldn't be considered as something which is divisive or
No,
something.
but I ask you again. I ask you again, Sajid Gauda. I get your point that asking Kannada tale, I speak Kannada, but I'm saying there is no question about what you're saying about the importance of language and the culture or whatever else. But in a concert, when somebody is singing, if somebody is going to be provoking like that, the response that he has given could also be seen from the context of what he is saying is, why are you dividing in the name of language? Why are you bringing language into a rock concert? So, and I'm asking you that question. Hang on, I'm just asking that question, that if, let us say, a British rock band or an American rock band is playing, and if somebody is going to demand songs in Kannada, will it not be out of place? Is it necessary to bring that kind of linguistic assertion at a concert?
No, absolutely not. First of all, Sonu Nigam is not UK
American
or US artist, and he's somebody who is so familiar to Kannada. He has sung so many Kannada songs. We consider him one among us, and that is the reason probably people would have asked Kannada songs. That's not the question. Even if he doesn't want to sing, he can straight away deny, saying that, oh no, I don't want to sing today. I don't have it in my playlist. This was not the part of the plan. He can tell many things.
Yes.
But how is he comparing? How is he telling that asking Kannada is dividing the nation? He is dividing the nation. This is the most anti-national statement one can give. Opposing Kannada in Karnataka is the anti-national thing. We can't expect everyone to be the same. If everyone speaks Hindi, will terrorists give a kiss and go? What is he asking?
You're saying that it was completely out of context what he asked. Completely insensitive. Sanjana Galrani, very quickly, if you were Sonu Nigam's advisor, or if you had a chance to tell him, you would just say, take to X and please post an apology.
Absolutely. Please take to X, post an apology, heartful one, and kitne dil dukhaye aapne, don't let the entire Karnataka stand against you. Definitely, as a well-wisher, as a friend, I would like to, I look upon his songs, the whole country does, the whole nation does. So please, Sonuji, if you're watching this show, प्लीज जस्ट हाथ जोड़ लीजिए, कोई भी छोटा नहीं होता इससे, ये बहुत लंबा चलेगा नहीं तो, है ना? प्लीज apologize, please apologize. We all still
on the southern view. Okay,
I totally agree that
your response.
I totally agree that he should apologize. There is nothing, माफी मांगने से कोई आदमी छोटा नहीं हो जाता. और आप इतने बड़े सिंगर हैं, इतने हजारों शोज आपने किए पूरी दुनिया में, और अपनी कंट्री में अपने देशवासियों के साथ ऐसी हरकत करना तो बिल्कुल ही बेवकूफी की बात है. बिल्कुल बेवकूफी की बात है. It's humiliating. I totally agree. He should apologize.
All right, fine. The panel seems to be united on it. We will see what Sonu Nigam's next response is. But thanks very much, Sajid Gowda, Sanjana Gaulani, and Shehzad for joining me here on the Southern View this evening. It's an important point that you all are making. Now to a quick check of the top political story in Karnataka. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah today announced the Justice Nagmohan Das panel, which will supervise a massive exercise to collect internal caste data within the scheduled caste. Over 65,000 teachers will be deployed to go door to door to collect population data of subcaste under the scheduled caste category, and internal scheduled caste quota reservations will be implemented according to that population data. It's a long pending demand made by several top leaders from the scheduled caste communities amidst worries that a section of scheduled caste could be cornering bulk of the reservations that's offered.
The left people also telling that there are the Dravida in some places. And in some places they are telling that Adi Karnataka and Adi Andhra. So right people also telling the same thing. In order to clarify this and to give the empirical data, we constituted a committee, one-man committee, and he will give the report and recommendations according to the recommendations and the report. The cabinet will take a decision.
It's a complex issue. Professor Sandeep Shastri joins me live now. Professor Shastri, first of all, explain the reason this survey is being conducted, why it is important in the context of multiple subcastes within the scheduled caste of Karnataka, and also distinguish it from, let's say, the talk about the caste census or the larger socio-economic survey, because this is a distinct and different exercise.
Veera, you have very succinctly put the point in your opening comment. While the scheduled castes as a category for whom there is a constitutionally mandated reservation is recognized, it is also a fact that across the country, with Karnataka being no exception, there are various groups within the scheduled castes, there are various castes within the scheduled castes, and there has generally been a feeling that there are various groups which have not got the benefit of reservation as much as other caste groups within the scheduled caste have received. So I think the demand for a survey about the quantum and the numbers of the various caste groups within the scheduled caste is being asked for, basically keeping in mind what is the quantum of reservation each of these groups have enjoyed within the category of scheduled castes. As the Chief Minister himself said, you have the left category, you have the right category. They are politically also aligned in interesting ways with parties. So in order to be able to identify which are the scheduled caste groups, and then as a second stage, look at the type of benefits they have drawn from reservation, would then allow you to look at which are the groups which have not benefited significantly and which are the groups which have benefited much more than their numbers warranty. And that would be something that would be possible if you do have such a classification and such a survey calculation done.
It's important that you're saying that a survey is needed to make sure that reservation is targeted to who it is needed the most and not be cornered by certain sections of the community. But give us the political context of this as well. Once the survey results come out, would it be easy to navigate it politically for a chief minister or the government to implement that internal quotas? Or do you believe that, much like, let us say, the conflict and the context of the other castes, one sees sort of a jostling over that, we would expect to see something similar, because there are multiple different subsects of the subcastes of the scheduled caste who represent who are represented in the Karnataka cabinet as well?
Veera, nothing is easy to negotiate and navigate in politics. I think a lot will depend on how transparent that survey is, how inclusive that survey is, and what is the level of public confidence in the way that that survey is done. There will definitely be question marks raised later. There will be definitely questions raised about how you did this exercise, and more importantly, what are you going to do with the data that emerges from this exercise? That, I think, will be critical. And I think the assurance that needs to be given is the benefits would continue to be for the scheduled caste group. The percentage of benefit would continue to be for the group. It's just a question of who within the scheduled caste would get how much benefit. The internal reservation question is basically an explanation of that.
Important point that you make there. It will be interesting once that data comes out. But of course, 65,000 teachers, they've been given a 60-day deadline to collect it, because there is a sense of urgency as well.
If your garage looks like this, you need Tougher Man. A leading supplier of shelving for your home or business. Assembly is quick, easy and boltless. Buy one bay from just $59.99, or you can get 3 bays from only $119.99, saving you nearly £60. Plus you get a 5-year Storelex steel guarantee. Order now at tougherman.co.uk.
Witness the fitness, the clock will tell 11. One hope, one quest.
Tomorrow starts tonight. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
Sometimes it's not time for some tombola. It's enjoying lasagna time. Or time to visit your nan time. Put the phone down.
Plusnet's sweet deal on full fibre is full of value. Treat yourself to fast and reliable broadband from only $24.99 a month. And with no activation fees, yes please, with speeds up to 900 megabits, faster than a sugar rush. And ooh, a reward card, that's a plus. Call us now or visit plus.net for our best price. Ends 7th of May. Oh, go on then.
Summer's heating up with People's Postcode Lottery.
Oh my God!
Because in our June draws, you could win a share of £17.8 million.
I've just won the postcode lottery. Oh, twice.
Could a big summertime win land in your postcode? Sign up before midnight on the 31st of May and a share of £17.8 million could be yours. But only if your door is in the draw.
What they don't tell you about getting older is how much fun it can be. Enjoying all the things you've worked so hard for. Spending time with the people that really matter. Not to mention, finally finding that precious time for yourself. I don't want anything taking my best years away from me, but like so many people, I've seen the heartbreak that dementia can cause. That's why I'm asking everyone to order this essential free guide from Alzheimer's Research UK. It's called Your Brain Matters. We all know what's good for our heart and our lungs, but do you know how to keep your brain healthy too? Well, this guide tells you how, in 7 steps you can start taking right now, whatever your age. Just ring the number on screen to get your free copy. Inside you'll find facts and tips that can keep your brain healthy and help reduce your risk of developing dementia. It's advice you can really trust from leading dementia scientists. Read it, keep it, and check back whenever you need to. Order your free copy now. Call Alzheimer's Research UK on 0800 035 5984 or text BRAIN2 to 78866. Think of it as another way of planning for your best years, because your brain really matters.
What are you so happy about?
I've just made a claim. We could be owed thousands.
My claim group?
Yeah, the cars we bought on finance, well, the lenders could have charged hidden commissions. It's dead simple to claim.
Hey, I had 2 cars before we met.
Go to My Claim Group. You could be owed thousands in hidden commissions from cars you bought on finance since 2007, even if you can't remember the details.
Done.
Simple, eh?
Go to My Claim Group now.
Claims made simple.
Hello ladies and gentlemen,
everyone. You're watching NDTV. The Supreme Court on Monday sought the presence of 5 social media influencers, including Samay Raina, on a plea by an NGO which alleged that they ridiculed persons with a rare muscular disorder. Now, the court has asked Mumbai Commissioner of Police to serve notice to these stand-up comics to ensure that their presence in court is maintained, failing which they said coercive action would be taken. Tonight, we confront a troubling question. In a digital age that's driven by likes and laughs, have we lost sight of basic human dignity? When mockery, especially of people with disabilities, becomes mainstream, where do we really draw the line? Is legal and criminal action justified, or even a deterrent to make our society, particularly our youngsters, mindful and sensitive? That's what we discussed tonight. Before I go to my guests, let me also give you, in a nutshell, the background to this case. In a video titled Narak, which has since then been removed by YouTube, comic Samay Raina made a joke about the high cost of treating a months-old child with spinal muscular atrophy, suggesting that some might hesitate to spend such a large sum on a child given the age of the child. He was also reported to have made some insensitive remarks over persons with visual impairment. How do we see this? That's what we discussed tonight. Joining us now is Radhika Vaz, who's a comic and a writer. We have Nipun Malhotra, founder of Nipman Foundation. He's also the director of Quantum Hub. And we have Arman Ali, who is executive director, NCPEDP. Thank you all of you for joining me on this broadcast. We'll be joined by more guests in just a bit. Radhika, to you first. You know, let me confess that I watch stand-up comedy, and I do believe that there are times, like we see in recent past, some artists saying things that could be completely offensive. But overall, many times I do think that many of these young comics are speaking on issues such as mental health, patriarchy, and they do call out a lot of stuff that mainstream, entertainers have not. But there are also instances like this when you wonder if, our young artists need to have those filters, those sensitivity, that kind of mindfulness. As an artist, tell me, where do you draw that line?
Thank you so much for having me, obviously, on this show. I'm very happy to be here. I think the question of whether sensitivity or free speech, which is more important, I actually think it's a flawed question in a sense, because both are extremely important, and it almost feels to me like asking me, which one of your parents would you like to die first? I mean, how can I make that choice as a comedian or as a human being for that matter? As far as disabilities go, what I think is actually almost, it's so sad that it's amusing, is that, my father has Parkinson's, and because of Parkinson's, he can't see anymore, and he is in a wheelchair. And 99% of our buildings in this country, including those built by our government, are not accessible to people with disabilities, including hospitals. Like, my father can't even go to a hospital unless he has an assistant with him. So, we have made life so difficult with people, for people with disabilities. In fact, people without disabilities. I was just taking a walk in the evening, and the pavements I live in Gurgaon, in a city like Gurgaon, the pavements are unsafe for people of all abilities, let alone those without, So we live in an environment that's not friendly to disabled people at all. Yet we're very concerned about this joke. And, you had said something about young people becoming mindful and understanding what the issues are for people with disabilities. My nephew, a 10-year-old boy, is on the autism spectrum. And there are children in his class whose mothers will not allow them to play with him or come for his birthday party. And to me, young people learn from their parents. They don't learn from us comedians. They listen to us and they move on. But where they learn is at home. So if we still don't allow our kids to marry people with disabilities, if we still discriminate against them in ways where, they can't even go into a building properly without 3 people carrying a wheelchair up a ramp, then what does it matter if we joke about it? I'm unclear about how that is so offensive.
Okay, that's a good question. Abha Khetarpal also joins us. She's a disability activist. Before that, Nipun, should freedom of expression on social media come with a responsibility to protect dignity of vulnerable groups? What kind of impact does it have on people who have lived that life? People with disabilities who live that life. When you hear something like that on TV, on YouTube, how does that impact your struggles? How does that impact your ability to resist all the wrongs that have been happening in society?
No, I think that's a very good question. Unfortunately, Samay Raina, I think, has been a serial offender when it comes to persons with disabilities. This is not really the only video in which he's laughed at persons with disabilities. There was also an episode of India's Got Latent where he was really mimicking, one of his contestants was mimicking people who limp, people who cannot speak properly, etc. And I had myself, in fact, done a case against him at the Chief Commissioner's Court for Persons with Disabilities regarding that particular case. And I'll tell you why these videos are extremely offensive. Because what also happens is that at schools and colleges, when influencers start making these videos and people see them, they often start mimicking these same videos in schools and colleges when they see a person with a disability as well. So it's not just about Samay Raina doing it, but it's also the responsibility that he has towards his followers, who might start, repeating the same stuff in front of persons with disabilities, which is something which is extremely negative. The second point that I want to make is really, the fact that the Supreme Court has actually come up with guidelines on portrayal of persons with disabilities in visual media. This was last year when I'd actually done a case against this movie by Sony Pictures called Aak Mein Chodi, which made a lot of fun of people with disabilities and also really tried to show that if you're a person with a disability and you want to get married, the only way to get married is really if you pretend that you do not have a disability or you hide your disability. I had actually taken it to the Supreme Court, and the then Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud had actually come up with guidelines separating disability humor, which is acceptable, which basically laughs at situations persons with disabilities face, which can actually create awareness, versus disabling humor, which is laughing at the disability itself, which people like Samay Raina are regularly indulging in, and which is extremely unfortunate.
Right. Also, we have L. Ravichandar, who's a lawyer. Before that, Arman Ali, can you also tell us if our legal system is equipped to hold influencers accountable for digital ableism? Because, every time we talk about this, there's also the sense that, there is freedom of speech, right? And then these are also young people who have a lot of followers. How should the legal system be equipped to deal with something like this?
Obviously, it will have to walk on it. It has to perform the task of a trapeze artist. It will have to tightrope walk. While, I completely agree that we are a nation without a sense of humor, in the sense that people can laugh at these kind of jokes, and we can create these kind of jokes, that we can even look at these people as a source of humor, shows that we have a horrendous sense of humor. Having said that, I believe that courts' capacity to deal with the freedom of expression is just as important as what is expressed. I completely agree. I don't think there can be two opinions that what was shot in the name of humor was crass, was insensitive, was in fact violative of Section 92 of the right of